while it may not be the most loot efficient or XP efficient heist that exists within Payday 3, I have to give my hat off to 99 Boxes for being one of the most entertaining heists that Payday 3 has to offer on launch. Really, if I feel like Sam Fisher and Splinter Cell swinging on zip lines that I totally should get spotted on when the guards just kind of watch me zipline into their storage yard and say, yes, boys being boys. 99 Boxes is a lot of fun. My name's Pepe Chad. I recently just changed my name to that because that's been my Steam name for the longest time. So y'all can find me on there if you'd like. I received feedback from a comment, and I want to implement that feedback. And this time I think I'm just going to give a little bit of live commentary on what's going on inside of this heist. Obviously, if you detest the sound of my voice and just want to watch it, the mute button is available for you. But I can offer some insight after how many times I've played this heist, and admittedly, the amount of times that I've failed this heist, played it. But let's talk about kind of what's going on here. So, first things first. Surprisingly, the best way that I've found to tackle this mission is to do the objective that it doesn't tell you to do off the bat. So if you noticed earlier on, I hacked one of the guard's phones, the guard to the right. I believe that's towards west. No, I actually think that's east. Yeah. The guard towards the east storage yard. I just run over there. First things first. There are 2 guards on this map that have a phone to be hacked. That is one that we've already done. These QR codes that you get from hacking the phone allow you to get into the boxes with the degradable material. And here you can see we're hacking another radio here, or phone rather. So the reason why you'd like to knock this out first instead of doing it when the game prompts you to is that if you flub up, if you blunder and get caught while doing this, the worst thing that's happening to you is the guard that caught you, who's probably the one you're hacking, is going to escort you out, and conveniently you can just walk right next to him. So even if you get caught, it actually helps you because now the guard is just walking with you, and you're getting your hack done. Didn't happen in this scenario, but it's a really good what-if scenario to analyze when thinking about stuff like this.
There's a guard.
So we've grabbed both of the phones here. Right now we're sitting behind the lead guard, and we are going to take a look at some boxes for some nitrogen. Get lucky on this one. We grab the nitrogen here, and we're going to maneuver our way over into the container where we're going to put our nitrogen on. We still are in casing mode here, haven't put our mask on, and again, that just offers us some luxuries of being escorted and waltzed out instead of cuffed and forced. Well, they don't even force you out, they just cuff you, and then you just restart, right? You know, on Overkill here, and I should mention that this is an Overkill run for getting all boxes. There is an achievement for getting all the boxes out on this map. It is not Overkill difficulty. The difficulty in question that's required escapes me at the moment. I could Alt-Tab and cheat and find it, but I'm not as storied in this game, perhaps, as I should be. But we are doing an all bags run here, so we're going to get all the loot that's possible. And in this map, if you get the information for the container yard, so here's the west, the east is not accessible. Guards just don't spawn in, there's no loot. You know, it doesn't exist. But here, all the loot that we're going to get is going to come out of the container yard. There's nothing inside of the main hub here, the main warehouse, to my knowledge, that is loot. Now, we will be coming back, obviously, because we have to drop off the degradable materials into the container, but we really want to take out the cameras here, especially if we want to have a realistic hope of maintaining stage B
It's a guard.
on our degradables.
There's a guard.
So the components are in the west storage yard.
That inherently calls into question, hey, what's this stage B and degradable material? So let's talk about some of the big objectives of this heist. So the lore is Ice-T, of all people, Ice-T has commissioned us, or what's a good phrase there? Tasked us, or has aided with getting information on these biodegradable materials that we need to get out of here. The degradable materials basically means like the longer that they're out of refrigeration, the less value that they have, and it occurs in stages. Now, I am happy to report, I don't actually know what happens past stage B. So you have stage A, which is the perfect quality for your bag. There is a separate achievement, Tech Mogul, which I have on this channel, which is on very hard or above, I believe, where you have to get the bags out with both of them being on stage A. Now here we're going to get them both out on stage B. I've never seen it happen where a bag gets below stage B. I haven't had it. I haven't tried it, but I guess I also haven't been bad enough to the point where that's happened.
Mind the guard.
Wow, that's actually like really nice to be able to say. So we nabbed the blue key card off of the guard in the storage yard here. That is going to give us access into the camera room, like the blue key card generally does for the heists in this game. And it's also important to note the sequential nature of acquiring the blue key card. Gosh, I hate speaking in definitives here, but I believe you always have to come into the storage yard to grab the key card. So that means you got to progress through some of the level before you can take out the cameras. Hacking the cameras is a wonderful tool and is worth investing in. I'm not sure if I do it too much here, but we're going to say goodbye to that camera guard for good here in a little bit.
Watch the guard.
Pretty close call with the camera, not going to lie. This guard up here in the front is going to give us a little bit of grief. Yeah, here I'm really wishing I could just take out that camera guard right now. I hear the movement of that guard on the other side of the gate, get a little paranoid and just say, nah, it's not worth it. And that's a pretty common theme in surviving solo stealth runs here, is just really being able to put your ego down a notch and just say, hey, screw it, it's not worth it, I'd rather just wait it out. Hacking this camera, just immediately clicking the right click on the mouse to disable the camera. And I've put up a camera up here. This is going to be my big deployable camera that I'm going to reference a lot here. And I'm checking to see that the guard associated with this micro area here, this guard booth, isn't camping out where I want to go. And I'm going to be using this route in particular with the west storage yard to ferry all of my boxes. If you go via the garage door, you run a greater risk of running into a guard without sufficient cover, and that is run ending. So my philosophy with all of this is to be as risk averse as possible and take your time and just get it done.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I must have pushed one of these bloody buttons by accident. Won't happen again, probably. Okay. The guard. There's a guard.
Now we're going to make our way back to the storage yard and start getting to
Watch the guard.
work on our wet work, getting the gear out, getting the loot.
There's a guard.
I've got one pager left in the pocket in the case of emergencies.
Don't move.
Get spotted by this sieve. This sieve in particular is worth mentioning. There is one like him on the other side of the warehouse, and they're both looking down at the ground, sweeping or something. They've got their headphones on. And I believe their detection algorithm is not the conventional one that is used by the rest of the civs and guards, where they've got a cone, a field of vision in front of them.
Watch the guard.
Those guys, I believe, actually detect a radius around them, so there is a circular zone of detection that exists around that sieve and the other cleaning sieve on the other side of the warehouse. It is the only time in all heists that I've found any civ, guard, whatever operating
Watch
like
the
that.
guard.
So I wanted to mention that, just share that insight, because that can actually influence how your heists go, right?
God.
If you say, hey, I'm going to make a risky maneuver and just walk behind the sieve, oh yeah, it turns out dude's got eyes in the back of his head.
It's a guard. Mind the guard.
Ah, okay, so
That's the one. You have the digital key. Just
vaulting and sprinting.
It's a guard.
The game automatically assumes, if you're not sprinting, that when you jump, you don't want to vault. So if you go up to a surface and press space, you will jump. If you press space again, you'll vault. If you are sprinting, the game assumes... Wow. Close call. I'm pretty sure I got kind of salty here. If you're sprinting onto an object, like I actually pressed the sprint button there. It's hard to
Mind
know
the
that I
guard.
did, but I remember it. If you press the sprint button and press space, it'll automatically vault. Inherently, that poses a problem. Because sprinting, especially on Overkill, makes a lot of noise that guards detect.
Mind the guard.
And there are certain situations where you don't want to sprint, but you don't want to jump, wait for your guy to land, and then vault an object. So keep that in mind while you are stealthing, because you might be stuck in a close scenario and want to vault an object. You can't sprint, so you have to double space.
Guard.
So here, doing some of the hacking, Wi-Fi
Oh my God.
hotspot hacking, I guess, is the lore behind these somewhat ethereal and magical circles on the ground. It seems somewhat contrived of a mechanic, but hey, I won't complain. The gameplay in this game is very good, and the movement
There's a
is
guard.
good as
Mind
well.
the guard.
So don't hear me trashing on the game. Just sometimes wonder, you know, what's the logical reasoning behind why we have to stand in perfectly shaped
There's a
circular
guard.
regions on the
There's a
ground
guard.
to hack a box. Here I miss a jump and regret it. Listen, that's a theme with a lot of my gameplay. I don't have the perfect runs. Make a lot of mistakes.
Mind the
And
guard.
again, I don't mean to sound cliche here, but a true definition of a competent solo stealther is your ability to think on the fly. Heck, a stealther, you know, in any
God.
regard. If you're playing with people or you're playing solo. Being able to think on your feet is a really valuable skill, not even in this game, but in real life.
God.
Here's one of those moments where I hacked the guard, thought about going around him. I realized how close he was to the container. There was no going behind him. I'd have to go in front of him. And I maybe could have made it. You know, maybe I got spotted. And for a brief couple seconds there, I performed a risk analysis and said, okay, what is my return on risk here if I try to go around that guard? And it's like, well, you know, I saved 20, 30 seconds.
It's a God.
And to me, that wasn't worth potentially risking the whole run. I don't want to
What's the
use a
guard?
pager here. If I would want to use a pager anywhere, it would probably be in the warehouse on one of the two guards. Either the guy upstairs or the guy downstairs.
It's a God.
So I said, you know what? No, we're going to chill,
Good, you're in.
play it cool,
Remember that the components start
and wait.
degrading as soon as they're removed from their casing.
It's a God.
Get them back to the refrigerated truck fast as hell.
So as you heard Shade there say, we just opened up the container, the hacking is done, and we're going to be
Watch the God.
moving pretty quick with the bag. A big tip here, if you're stealthing this, especially if you're alone and you don't have a lot of people feeding you intel, is good cameras will save you here. You need as much intel and information as you can get to both move quickly and get the bag into the truck and not get spotted, right? So here I make a decision. I see the guard at the guard post has moved out of
Get
the
components
post.
to the truck. They've started degrading.
And so now I just walk by. Wanted to take a shortcut there, just decided, hey, it's not worth it. I'll sacrifice the stage A. So the value is going to degrade. I was thinking if I made that shortcut, I might be able to make the full value, but it's not worth it. Here, you know, I'm sprinting like I'm going to go do it. I see the question mark, and I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, rather, okay, so stage B is the next. I just read that text. Okay, so I was mistaken. So maybe stage A is actually what I've been turning them in as. Does that mean it's stage S? That's perfect. Maybe.
Mind
Anyway,
the God.
real quick, so I'm sitting right next to the civilian that I tied up, the dude who was cleaning on the floor. If that happens to you and the guards
the
are
guard?
not in search, you can stick him behind that box. Here I use the radio hack to just quickly get around that guy. That's a pretty safe move.
Mind the God.
You can really use that the hack skill within the hacker tree. I forget the name of it. It's not super important. It's the one, I think it's later on in the tree where you can hack a guard's radio. That is a must. That is an absolute must take for stealthing. It will save you in so many situations. Here I fail parkour.
It's a God.
Here I fail spotting a guard like 5 times and ping my brain out. Here is a container that doesn't have a QR lock on it, so
Otherwise, try
we got some cash bags in here. And since we are doing an all bags run, I'm gonna work them container by container and drop off this cash bag and come back for the other one.
Mind the God.
Again, checking cameras, just trying to get information, where the guard's at. And, you know, rule of thumb is if you can't see the guard, that's generally a problem. That is more often than not a bad thing.
Mind the God.
Unless if that tells you where the guard
It's
is
a guard.
implicitly. For example, if you know the guard stops in four places and you can see that he's not in 3 of them, process of elimination, you know he's in the one. So you know where he's at. But if it's in the case where the guard could be in multiple positions and you don't see him, this was risky. This was kind of dumb. You know, if the guard's in,
Mind the God.
could be in multiple positions and you can't see him, that's where you get into real real danger. Schrodinger's cat kind of scenario, where, well, realistically, he exists in both, just 50%. Or however many positions he could be in. Again, just using the same old route here of going in front of the warehouse and going in through this cargo container. The civs out here don't tend to be a problem, unless if you're sprinting around and run into them, then inherently there's a problem. I blunder here, not the first time, not the last time rather, that I'll do this. I think I'm going in the same way that I went out, and, well, it's not the case here. Taking it slow, trying to find the guard here. Okay, an example, right? So the guard could be to my left, or he could be to the right across the catwalk. I take it slow around the left corner, see that he's not there, assume, okay, the only position he could be left is in the office across the way, so I'm good to go. Right, that kind of thinking. Last bag out of this cargo container. You can really see how freely I'm able to move now that the cameras are gone.
God.
Being able to effectively do this with the cameras up would require you to hack cameras as you go, and boy is that a nuisance. Again, solo stealthing tips here. If you have multiple people, you can hack a camera at the start of the map, cycle through the cameras, and then deactivate specific ones that you delegate to people. I've run this strat with people I've played with on the Payday Discord. They've got some really well ironed out and lined up strategies saying, hey, you're going to take out cameras 1 and 3, and then I'm going to take 2 and 5, and so on. But here, you've only got 2 max to work with, 2 run times out of the hacker tree. So if you want multiple cameras down, you're going to have to take out the guard.
Mind the guard. Watch the guard.
Okay, so I've got some information here. I've got the guard walking towards me. Going to take a little bit, slight tactical risk here. Hack the guard and move on. Again, sprinting. Rule number 1, hey, if you can avoid sprinting, avoid it like the plague. Because if the guard downstairs heard me sprinting, the guy getting hacked wouldn't. But if the guy downstairs did, and he walked up, saw the civilian, you're in a world of hurt, and best case scenario, you use your last pager. And you didn't need to sprint there. So sometimes it's really tempting just to go fast. Here I get a little zoomy. But rule of thumb is, if you can avoid sprinting, avoid it.
That's not the one. See if there's anything.
Alright, so we are 3 out of 5 containers down at this point, and we're just bagging cash here. We've got 1 container left after this one with a QR code, and another one with cash in it. So 5 containers total that you're looking for, or let's see if I can do math, 8 bags. Right, because you got 3 containers of 2 cash bags each, and 2 objective containers containing 1 bag each. So 8 total. 2 of those are unique because you gotta go fast.
Watch the guard.
You're noticing how I'm getting rush every single time a guard spots me and I don't already have it. That is the infiltrator tree, I believe. I think that's what it's called. That's a must. There are a few stealth skills that they don't... I think I'll compliment Payday on this I do like this philosophy. There really aren't too many, or any rather, stealthing skills that are obligatory to complete heists. There are ones that make life a lot easier and perhaps even enable certain strategies, but none of them are requisite to even function properly. You can walk in with no gear, just a P226 and a silencer, and you can stealth any heist in the game. Close call there. I really should have been patient and waited for him to move. In fact, did I blunder here? Let's find out. Yes, I did. Okay. So obviously I screwed up there, and I was not a good follower of my own advice.
Hello, Central.
Should have been
How you
more
doing over
patient.
there? Good? Fucking wankers.
And I should have taken my time. But I thought on my feet, and I knew I wasn't getting out of it. So what did I do? I saw the guard coming, and I knew there could have been a possibility for the guard downstairs to witness the inevitable murder that was about to transpire. And so I waited until the guard got to me as close as possible to limit the field of view to the downstairs area, so it maximized my chances of not getting detected. And it just so happened to pay off. So I made a mistake there, but at the same time, I maximized my chances for recovery. And going back to the whole thinking on your feet thing there, if you can really accompany, embody, incorporate, whatever verb you'd like to use there, embrace that philosophy, you're going to see a greater success rate for your heists. And not only does that mean more cash in your pocket, but it also means more sanity left in your brain. Because, let's be honest, you get 10, 15 tries into a heist, and your motivation to keep going, if you hit the same wall over and over again, it dwindles, and I feel that. Again, just collecting some intel on the camera that I set up here. You could use another camera. I wonder where a good spot for that would be. I don't use my second one here, but the first one really does a good job of giving you what it needs, or rather what you need. Maybe one inside to track the lead guard, and just to keep tabs on him. He can be really problematic in a lot of the heists in this game. In this one, he's rather tame. Specifically with running this route. He doesn't... well, the game thinks... The game is tricky. The game engineers the lead guard to screw you, just to absolutely make your life a living hell. So the game is thinking that you're wanting to come through the garage door area, and we subvert that by just saying I'm going to go in through the front. I'm sprinting a little more liberally there because I know the guard on top is dead, but same reasoning. It's not good practice to sprint. Unless if you were absolutely sure. There's nothing left. I highlight the 2 containers left here. So we are, container-wise, 60% of the way there. Some risky sprinting on my behalf. I really have to give myself the shame, scraping your 2 index fingers. I'm doing that to myself right now.
Get through container security, grab the components, and get them to the refrigerated truck fast as fuck. They start losing value if they're in the open for too long.
What was that noise?
And that is why we don't sprint. In this case, I alert the guard, and what I'm assuming happens here, because the guard de-aggros, is that I am in a position that a guard cannot access by vaulting conventional objects or walking, because surprisingly the guards are rather intent on reaching your last known location of
What's the guard?
audible noise. They will vault objects to get to where they thought you sprinted last. And their AI is rather cunning in finding you. Sometimes I find guards coming straight to me instead of straight to where I made the noise.
What's the
So
sin?
you really got to be careful with this. But what I'm thinking happened there is there was no viable route for the AI to take, and so he just gave up. I got lucky.
Civilian.
Civs do come into this region. They do walk inside, so that's why the sprinting earlier was rather arrogant.
It's a guard.
And here I drop down hesitantly because I know I could get sandwiched by a guard and a civ, but the civilian was in the middle of the containers there, and the guard is on the fringe. So, so there, I probably looked like a giant idiot just jumping in front of where the guard posted up. But I wanted to jump, you know, and indicate to the game that I wanted to vault an object instead of using the sprint button. And it turns out the guard just did a straight 180 and was like, hey dude, why is this dude with a clown mask just jumping around my container yard?
It's a guard.
So I got lucky there. Hacked him and then jumped up.
Mind the guard.
So far so good though.
Watch the guard.
We're making good progress. We have used both of our pagers, and I know at this point that if I use another one, it's likely game over, because of the fact that I have bodies stored and civilians held hostage, civilian singular, near that stairwell inside the warehouse. If the search were to occur, my likelihood of success significantly deprecates.
The guard.
Okay, so we're picking up the container and we're getting moving.
The components are losing value. Get them to the truck.
And realistically, with that container location, getting full value out of it with the route we're taking is nigh impossible.
Secure the components. Hurry before the value drops to a minimum.
Watch the sieve. There's a guard.
So I've got some time here, so I quickly identify the guard and make my way to turning it in. So at this point, you can click on the truck, seal it up,
There's a guard.
and go on your merry way. But we still have 2 more bags remaining. We have 1 container containing cash that we need to loot up. So 2 more trips.
In the guard. There's a guard.
Really glad I took the time and used the camera there, because I did not know the guard was right underneath me until I saw him on the camera, and I would have been in really, really, really dire straits if I just jumped off that crate and gotten spotted by the guard. I'll comment really quick on what appears to be a major theme of stealth and overkill difficulty in this game. And it differs from various stealthing philosophies that exist within games in general. I think Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Blacklist does a really good job of differentiating the two main styles, specifically Panther and Ghost. There's the philosophy in stealth that either, one, you take out as many surveillance elements and threats as possible as you go to minimize your risk, and you just don't get detected if guards aren't alive. The success of that philosophy depends on the extent to which you can eliminate threats. So, by the way, I do something dumb here. Just grab a bag and leave the other one up there. This bag gets spotted later, and yeah, we have to think on our feet. Maybe the reason why I think on my feet so much is because I'm actually just kind of stupid. There's a possibility for that. But anyway, right, so the philosophy that, if I kill all the guards on the map, I don't get spotted. Well, that begs into question, can you kill all the guards in the map? And the answer clearly on Overkill is no. You can kill 2, and that's it. And if you want to move around the map without being ding, 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 ding from cameras all the time, that means you can kill 1. So the Panther strategy of killing everything as I go doesn't really work on Overkill difficulty. The other method of stealth that Blacklist recognizes is Ghost, and that is don't get seen. So the philosophy there is if I can keep all of the elements of the environment the same after I go in as before I went in, then in that scenario, no one even knows I'm there, right? So no elements are disturbed. I have no risk because I haven't disturbed anything. The caveat to that and the challenge that presents is you take on great risk inherently by encountering all of these surveillance elements. You just have many guards on the map. You have many cameras up until you kill the camera guard. And so I suppose by process of elimination, you're required to follow somewhat of a ghost strategy. I almost get spotted on the zipline, and this was a salty moment. I had a lot of beef with this specific guard this run. And yeah, so you're somewhat forced to play this like, oh, well, I just won't get seen and won't disturb elements of the game, and then there's not a problem. This guard sees the bag. I hack the radio, grab the bag, and I actually think we hacked a little more than his radio. I think we hacked his brain, because he just completely forgot about this suspicious duffel bag that was sitting on the other side of the truck that he somehow saw. Really questionable. Like he saw a handful of pixels in between the cargo container and maybe its chassis and went, yes, that is suspicious. Anyway, we're wrapping up here, and this is our last bag, so we've had a successful run. Hindsight bias. You wouldn't be watching this if it wasn't a successful run. Now, Mr. Lead Guard. Remember how I told you earlier he just wants to screw up your entire day? This guy was not in the warehouse until we finalized our loot, and now he's camping out our transport. Don't you find that interestingly coincidental? Now, I do not consider myself a conspiracy theorist. However, the current pickle that this guy just put me in makes me somewhat vexed at the presence of this lead guard.
Mind the guard.
So we're going to follow this guy on our way out, and that's the heist. Here's how you do it. I hope you appreciated the commentary. I really appreciate feedback from you guys. If you have suggestions or things that you want to see or stuff that you enjoy or maybe stuff you don't, really don't hesitate to say something. And and let me know. It's been a pleasure sharing this experience with all you guys, so wish you all the best.